inheriting a Shopify store or even just taking over one that an agency built for you a few years back, it's exactly like buying a fully furnished older house.
Whoa, for sure. Yeah.
Like you pull up and it looks absolutely gorgeous from the curb. The paint is fresh, the landscaping is immaculate, but then you walk inside, look at the walls, and you just can't help but wonder, like, what kind of terrifying, outdated wiring is hiding right behind that drywall?
Right. And I mean, it is completely normal to feel a bit of apprehension about that digital wiring. Welcome to the deep dive, by the way.
Yes, welcome. Our mission today is all about demystifying what's actually running in the background of your store.
Exactly. Because on the surface, your storefront is rendering, your customers are checking out, and everything seems perfectly functional.
Yeah, it looks fine.
Right. But beneath that presentation layer, there's often this massive accumulation of technical debt, and you simply cannot see it until you know exactly where to look.
And I think a lot of merchants are just terrified that, simply looking might break their working store.
Yeah. Which is totally understandable.
So we're pulling from this incredibly detailed field guide today. It's titled Shopify Store Code Audit, Before You Fix or Rebuild.
It's a great piece.
Really is. So whether you just bought an e-commerce business or you inherited a messy store from a previous manager, or maybe you're just trying to figure out what a freelance developer left behind before they went totally radio silent, we are going to equip you to safely look under the hood today.
And we should definitely establish a very comforting baseline right out of the gate here.
Oh, yeah. Good call.
Just merely looking at your theme code or, scanning your app list or checking your admin access, doing that changes absolutely nothing.
Right. You're just looking.
Exactly. The code editor in Shopify only writes changes to your live store when you explicitly click Save. So honestly, as long as you keep your finger off that button, you can investigate this digital house completely risk-free.
Okay, that is a huge relief. So let's unpack this. If we're opening up the walls of this digital house, the source material points to one major culprit for a messy, sluggish store.
Yeah. Ghost code.
Ghost code. It's basically the residue left behind by previous tenants. You uninstall an app and you naturally assume the code is just gone.
But it isn't.
Right. It's like canceling your gym membership.
Yeah.
But the gym stubbornly refuses to take their bulky treadmills out of your living room.
I love that treadmill analogy. It really highlights the friction here. Because historically, older legacy apps, they functioned by forcefully injecting JavaScript directly into your store's central layout file.
Which sounds incredibly invasive.
It was, or they'd drop entirely new snippet files into your codebase. And then when you click uninstall on those legacy apps, sure, the platform disconnects your billing.
Thank goodness.
Right, and it removes the app interface from your dashboard. But it leaves all of that injected code sitting exactly where it was.
But wait, I really have to push back on that. Why doesn't the platform just automatically sweep this junk up when you hit uninstall? I mean, it seems wild to leave it up to a non-technical merchant to go hunting for stray code snippets.
It sounds wild, yeah. But what's fascinating here is the underlying risk of automation.
Okay.
If Shopify attempted to just, automatically delete code that a third-party app had hard-coded into your core theme.liquid file, there is this massive risk of collateral damage.
Oh, like it might delete the wrong thing.
Exactly. The platform might accidentally delete a crucial div tag or maybe a closing bracket that actually belonged to your theme. And if it does that, it instantly shatters your entire store's layout.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that would be bad.
It was simply too dangerous for a machine to guess where the app's code ended and your storefront began.
Okay, so you're left digging through your theme files manually.
Mm-hmm.
And according to the guide, you might suddenly spot these orphan snippet files with highly recognizable branded names.
Yep, they stand out.
Like you'll see a file named looksreviews.liquid or privy.liquid, and you realize, wait, I haven't paid for those services in 3 years?
Right.
But the danger isn't just having one random file sitting there, right? Like a single dead file isn't going to sink the ship.
No, a single dead file won't ruin a business. But it's the compounding effect over the years.
Okay, how so?
Well, imagine a retired size guide app, plus a broken currency converter, plus a defunct countdown timer. Because all those scripts are still buried in your theme, they are actively attempting to fire invisible trackers or load external resources.
On every single page load.
Every single product page load, yes.
Yikes.
So that is literal dead weight actively slowing down the loading experience for your customer, which, directly impacts your conversion rate.
Man. And here's where it gets really interesting. Because ghost code slowing down the store is one thing. But as we move into the next phase of the audit, we find out that some of this legacy code hiding in your walls isn't just dragging down your page speed.
No, it's doing something much worse.
It is actually expiring, meaning it is going to break the store entirely.
Yeah, we are operating on a very strict timeline right now because
Yeah.
today is July 26, 2026,
Right.
and the source material highlights a critical silent death that occurred just a few weeks ago on June 30, 2026.
The silent death.
Yes. A feature known as Shopify scripts stopped executing completely.
Okay, let's make sure we are totally clear on this. What exactly is the difference between a Shopify script and the other scripts we've been talking about? Because later in the source, they talk about script tags dying in August. To a merchant, those sound like the exact same thing.
They do, but it is a vital technical distinction. So Shopify scripts, the ones that died on June 30, that was back-end logic written in Ruby.
Okay, back end.
Right. These were used to build highly complex rules deep in the server. Things like specialized volume discounts, extremely specific tiered shipping rates, or conditional payment gateways.
Oh, wow.
And when that June 30 deadline hit, that back-end logic simply vanished. It stopped running. And the worst part, there was no big error message on the storefront.
Hold on. So if shipping or discount logic silently died a month ago, a store owner could be hemorrhaging margin right now without even realizing it.
Absolutely.
Like, if a complex bulk discount suddenly stops applying properly at checkout, or a heavy item shipping rate just defaults to free shipping, that is a direct hit to profitability.
A direct and potentially devastating hit, yeah. So if you inherited a store recently and you've noticed that, your shipping margin's like oddly thin this
Please
month.
check the scripts.
Exactly. Or if a specific promotional rule just isn't triggering anymore, the death of Shopify scripts is almost certainly the culprit.
Wow.
But as you mentioned, that back-end expiration isn't the only ticking clock. There is a massive front-end deadline looming right in front of us.
August 26, 2026.
Yeah.
Literally just a month from now.
Yep. On August 26, for all non-Plus stores, the thank you and order status pages are going to auto-upgrade to a completely new architecture.
Okay, and what does that mean in plain English?
It means any legacy script tags, which are those front-end JavaScript injections that apps use to track conversions or, display upsells on post-purchase pages, they will instantly stop working if they were created before February 1st, 2025.
Oh, man. And just for context, if you're running a massive Shopify Plus store, you've already gone through this gauntlet, right?
Right, yeah.
Like, Plus stores lost their checkout.liquid customizations a year ago, back in August 2025. But for the vast majority of merchants, this August 26 deadline is the one that's going to totally wipe out their custom post-purchase tracking.
Exactly. If your store relies on a custom analytics tracker or some specialized upsell script running on that post-purchase page, it is currently running on borrowed time.
The platform's just going to pave right over it.
It will automatically overwrite that space. Yes.
So, okay, if you're a merchant auditing your store right now, you're looking at a lot of dead weight. You've got ghost code slowing down the front end. You've got dead back end, Shopify scripts, bleeding margin.
Yep.
And your thank you page is about to get wiped clean in a month.
Yep.
At this point, you're standing at a major architectural fork in the road, right? Like, do you try to patch all these holes in the drywall, or do you just tear the entire house down and rebuild it?
It's the big question.
If my store is a few years old, how do I even know if it's too far gone to save?
Well, the decision to fix or rebuild is almost entirely dictated by your store's theme generation.
Theme generation, okay.
Yeah. The Shopify ecosystem has gone through 3 distinct architectural eras. So let's look at the oldest one first, which is vintage themes. These were built before the mid-2021 shift.
And the source is pretty blunt about vintage themes, honestly. They aren't sold in the theme store anymore, and they don't have customizable sections on most pages.
Right, because the underlying mechanics of a vintage theme relied on very rigid, monolithic liquid files. And because the structure is so inflexible, you just cannot easily patch it to accept modern modular app blocks.
So it's basically a dinosaur.
It's an evolutionary dead end, yeah.
Ah.
If your audit reveals that you are running a vintage theme, you should almost certainly plan for a full rebuild.
Gotcha. What about a store that was built a little later, say, the online store 2.0 era, which I think a lot of people know as the Dawn generation?
Dawn, right. That architectural leap changed everything. OS 2.0 introduced modular JSON templates, which is what allowed for draggable sections on every single page.
Oh, I love
They're
those.
great. And if you are on an OS 2.0 theme, the underlying code is flexible enough that it's usually fixable. You can manually clean out the ghost code and then migrate your old integrations over to modern app blocks.
Because the modern ones uninstall cleanly.
Exactly.
And what if a store was built very recently on the newest generation? I think it's called theme blocks. The source mentions the Horizon family of themes.
If you're on a theme blocks architecture, your foundation is modern and incredibly robust. So you absolutely should not rebuild. Just focus your audit on cleaning up the superficial app bloat and leftover snippets.
Okay, so I really want to challenge the fear that merchants have around the word rebuild.
Oh, please do.
Because people treat rebuilding a theme like, setting fire to their entire business and starting from scratch. But it's really just changing the display shelves in the retail space, right?
Yeah.
Your actual inventory in the back room is perfectly safe.
That is perhaps the most important concept for a store owner to grasp today. Your products, your collections, your navigation menus, your informational pages, your blog posts.
All safe.
All safe. They all live centrally in the Shopify admin database. They exist completely independently of your theme.
That's amazing.
Right. So when you hit publish on a brand new, clean theme, all of that core data seamlessly populates the new layout. You don't lose a single product.
So rebuilding just resets your technical debt to zero. The only things you lose are the theme-specific layout settings, any custom code modifications you made to the old files, and, well, all that ghost code that was dragging you down in the first place.
Exactly. But rebuilding the presentation layer is a fantastic way to eliminate debt, but it really only solves half the problem.
Oh.
Because having pristine code doesn't matter much if you don't know who has the keys to the building.
Ah, right.
An audit must transition from code analysis to access control.
Okay, let's talk about those unseen watchers. The source highlights that access bloat is a massive, quiet drain on profitability. And it starts with the apps themselves, right? The audit process forces you to look at every single installed app, and it turns out merchants are hoarding them.
Hoarding is the right word. The financial waste is just staggering.
Yeah.
The source cites an agency that audited 100 stores, and they discovered a median app spend of $580 every single month.
Good grief.
And the top quarter of those stores, they were spending over $1,200 a month.
That is wild.
And a significant portion of that is duplicate apps, like paying for 2 different product review tools because 2 different agencies set them up over the years. Or paying for marketing apps that were installed for a single holiday campaign and then never removed.
That is just throwing money away.
Yeah.
But, the app bloat almost feels innocent compared to the human access blind spots.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have your standard staff accounts, which are easy enough to prune. But then the source brings up collaborator accounts. And this is the part that really gave me pause.
There is a critical vulnerability there if it's left unmanaged. So collaborator accounts are special access portals. They're designed for Shopify partners, so agencies, freelance developers, technical support teams.
Right, and the terrifying part is that they do not count against your standard user limit.
Yep.
So if your plan allows for 5 staff members, you could be looking at your dashboard, see 5 active staff, and assume your perimeter is secure. Meanwhile, an agency you fired 3 years ago could still have full, unfettered administrative access to your customer data and theme code.
Through a hidden collaborator account, exactly.
That is nuts.
Because they don't trigger a limit warning, they just fade into the background.
Yeah.
Hunting down that specific list and revoking access for external partners you no longer work with. That is one of the highest leverage security actions you can take in an afternoon.
Okay, but sometimes you're digging through these access logs or you're scanning your theme code and you find things that are, well, more sinister than just a disorganized mess. How do we know the difference between a messy store and a legitimately compromised, hacked store?
It's a great question. The red flags for a security compromise are very distinct from technical debt.
Okay, what do they look like?
If you are auditing your live store and you suddenly experience unknown redirects sending your traffic to spam sites,
Bad sign.
very bad sign. Or if you spot strange new admin users in your logs that you absolutely did not invite. Or if you find hidden links injected into your page templates that you certainly didn't add, that is no longer an audit. You have crossed the line into an active security incident.
Wow. Okay, and the source offers a very clear philosophy on triage here. You don't just start wildly deleting code or fighting the hacker in the theme editor.
No, absolutely not. You lock the doors first.
Lock the doors.
You secure the perimeter before you clean the room. The immediate first action is changing the password to the email account you use to log into Shopify.
Oh, the email itself, not Shopify yet.
Yes, because if a bad actor controls your email inbox, any password reset you trigger on the store is useless to you.
Right, they'll just intercept the reset link. So you lock down the email first, then you change the actual Shopify password. Next, you mandate two-factor authentication across the board. So a stolen password alone isn't enough to get back in.
Exactly. From there, you ruthlessly boot any staff or collaborator account you do not explicitly recognize.
Kick them out.
And finally, you must check your financial settings. Hackers will often quietly alter the payout routing details so your daily sales are just funneled into a totally different bank account.
That is terrifying.
It happens. And only after the perimeter is completely locked down do you bring in Shopify support and a developer to restore a clean backup of the code. You do not try to untangle malware by hand.
Okay, that makes total sense. So assuming we aren't dealing with a hack, thank God, and we are just dealing with standard mess, ghost code, and app bloat, how do we actually execute this hunt?
Right into the mechanics.
Yeah. The source provides an 8-step DIY audit that a merchant can literally do right in the admin. Let's talk about those mechanics. What is the very first move you make before you start digging?
The unbreakable, non-negotiable first rule of any code audit is to duplicate your live theme.
Always make a copy.
You create a completely isolated, frozen copy of the store as it exists right now.
That is so reassuring, honestly.
Yeah.
It's like being in a museum. You can look at the dinosaur bones all you want. Just don't touch them if you don't know what they are.
Perfect analogy.
And if you do decide to boldly delete a dead file and the whole layout suddenly breaks, you don't panic. You just hit publish on that backup you made in step 1.
Exactly. Once that safety net is in place, you begin the actual hunt. So you start by opening the layout/theme.liquid file. You are visually scanning the head and body sections for hard-coded script tags that belong to old apps.
And
Then you move into the snippet folders. You're actively searching for the brand names of apps you knew uninstalled months or years ago.
okay, so after the code hunt, you run your app inventory to find those duplicates.
Yeah?
And you do the access review to kick out the old agencies like we talked about.
Yeah.
But step 7 is where it gets incredibly practical. The source talks about pulling the web performance report and looking at core web vitals.
Yes.
For a store owner who isn't a developer, what are we actually looking at here?
So Core Web Vitals are Google's standardized metrics for how a user experiences the speed of your page. It measures things like, how long it takes for the largest image to load, or whether the layout violently shifts around while the customer is trying to click a button.
Nobody likes that.
It's the worst. But what makes Shopify's web performance report so powerful during an audit is the change impact chart.
Right, because you aren't just looking at an abstract score. The chart literally graphs your store's speed over time, and it overlays markers showing exactly when you installed a specific app or edited the theme code.
It takes all the guesswork out of it.
It physically shows you that, hey, the day you installed that really heavy live chat app, your load time absolutely tanked.
It transforms performance issues from anecdotal feelings into empirical facts, which is so powerful. And while you're in there, you also want to review custom API tokens, just ensuring any private apps you've built only have access to the specific data they need, rather than blanket access to your entire customer database.
All right.
And finally, you must check that legacy checkout layer to see if your thank you page is relying on those script tags that are going to die on August 26th.
Now, what if a listener attempts this whole process, gets into the code, and just realizes they are completely out of their depth? Like, they need a professional. The source actually gives us some really good benchmarks for what this costs out in the wild, so merchants don't get taken advantage of, right?
Yeah, and while there is no standardized official pricing for this kind of work, the ranges provided are excellent for setting expectations.
Okay, hit me.
If you hire an independent technical expert for a conversion rate or code audit, you are generally looking at a range of $500 to $3,000.
Okay, pretty reasonable.
But if you are a massive enterprise store on Shopify Plus and you engage a full agency for a top-to-bottom architectural audit, that can scale up to $20,000.
Wow. They also mentioned a productized option, didn't they? A flat $699 audit that takes about 7 to 9 business days.
Yes, they did.
That seems like a really solid middle ground if you just want a clear map of the mess before you commit to a major rebuild.
It is, but ultimately, the raw cost is honestly less important than the final deliverable. A competent auditor does not just give you a verbal summary of the problems over a quick video call.
Right, you need it in writing.
They must provide a written, prioritized fix list. They need to rank the technical issues by their actual impact on your revenue and provide clear effort estimates.
So they don't just say this is broken.
No, an auditor's job is to tell you what to fix first, not just point out what is easiest to fix.
Makes total sense. Yeah. So you've done the audit. You've either meticulously patched the holes in the drywall, or you've rebuilt the house entirely, and your store is finally running beautifully. The final piece of advice in the source is about future-proofing. How do you ensure you never end up with a messy, bloated store again?
The highest leverage habit a merchant can adopt is implementing version control, specifically utilizing Shopify's native GitHub integration.
Okay, let's explain what that means for a merchant. It's essentially an automatic change log, right?
Exactly. It syncs your theme code to a secure external repository. This means every single line of code changed by anyone, whether it's you, a third-party app, or a hired developer, it is tracked, it's attributed, and most importantly, it's completely reversible.
Which is huge. You move from a state of constantly reacting to mysterious breakages to a state of total legibility.
Yep.
The next time you need to audit your store, it takes an hour, not a week, because every single modification is fully documented.
And you combine that with keeping a few clean backups in your theme library, just staying under the platform limits, of course, which is 20 themes for basic and advanced plans and 100 for plus, and you are virtually bulletproof against future technical debt.
It really is an empowering process, isn't it? The audit isn't just about finding problems. It's about reclaiming complete ownership of the technical foundation of your business.
Absolutely.
And that leads perfectly to a final thought I want to leave you all with, something to just mull over long after this deep dive ends.
Yeah.
We talked about how a forgotten back-end script expiring can silently alter your shipping logic and bleed your margins.
Yeah.
We talked about how an app you uninstalled 3 years ago can still dictate how fast your product page loads today. So if your storefront can be manipulated by the ghosts of apps past, who really controls your customer's experience? Is it you? Or is it the forgotten lines of code hiding behind the drywall? In this plug-and-play era of commerce, invisible code is your actual business foundation. Treat it with the exact same rigorous inspection as you would physical real estate. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.